Now my internet still acting stupid, bruh.
Hey, check this out. Hey, socialized payday. How much money did you make? More than you can count.
Periods of cyclical time. The day of Brahma is the basic unit of this cyclical time. This lasts for a whopping 4.32 billion years. Following a day of Brahma is a night of Brahma, which also lasts for Despite the ravages of time, many bewildering ancient ruins still exist on this planet. But while sites like those found at Giza have been the focus of attention, other areas have often been overlooked. If you asked the average person on the street how many pyramids are located in Egypt, how many would know the number more than 300? Most of them are small and ruined, some little more than heaps of rocky sand. These ruins might be overlooked simply because they are not
Still
exciting
about to
enough.
drink again. It's fucking.
On the other hand, other ancient sites
I know
are
I gotta go back to
neglected
work,
and
but
left
like-
out of the bigger picture because we cannot explain them. These lesser-known sites are often full of anomalies that are either difficult or impossible to explain. This is one such place. Located south of Giza and north of Saqqara, the Abu Sir Pyramids in modern-day Cairo is an ancient complex of Egyptian constructions full of anomalies. The area is literally filled with great mystery and unexplained construction techniques. The name Abu Sir originates from Peru Sir, which when translated means home of Osiris. The site has been the scene of much excitement since 1997 to 1998, when a Czech team of archaeologists discovered an intact sharp tomb of an official who lived here sometime between 525 and 340 BC. The main pyramids at Abu Sir are those of the kings Sahure and Berikari, but at least another 10 are either unfinished or collapsed. These pyramids are not as well constructed as Giza's, most likely due to the decentralization of power from the pharaoh and the increased governance of the nobility. However, the pathways and pavements are made of black basalt, and the columns and lintels were made of red granite from Aswan. So, what the Abu Sir pyramids lacked in grandiosity, they made up for in aesthetic appeal. Some remarkable finds have been made in the Pyramid of Neferefre. They included a group of royal statues of the Old Kingdom and several portraits of Neferefre himself, including sitting on his throne holding a mace. Over 300 scraps of papyrus, the Abu Sir papyrus, were also found here in 1893. The ink-written documents are the earliest known examples of the hieratic script, a cursive form of hieroglyphics. The archive, which is one of the most critical caches of Egyptian papyruses ever discovered, details the complex administration of the temple, including rotas for all temple duties, records of monthly inspections and audits, and maintenance records.
I'm Rex Moore with the Motley Fool, and there's a reason I come to CES every year, and it's not to jump into vault.
One of the more intriguing aspects of the papyri found in the necropolis is that some of them, including the recently famous Cleopatra papyrus, are connected to Alexandria. Just how documents originating from the highest circles of Alexandria ended up in a necropolis up-country remains something of a mystery. An extensive temple complex can also be found here. 6 sun temples are mentioned in inscriptions, although only Userkaf's and Niuserre's ruins have been discovered. The entire site has been dated by Egyptologists from 2465 to 2323 BC, although some researchers believe the site is much older. Either way, these buildings are some of the oldest surviving structures on the planet. One of the many anomalies found here is centered around a large square platform made of alabaster and formed into the shape of the Kemetic symbol Potat, which stands for peace. It is also interesting to note that a colossal obelisk, estimated to be between 50 and 70 meters high, once stood in front of this mysterious platform. Many of the world's ancient sites are embodied with legends, and this site, dubbed the Stargate of the Gods, is no different. According to one Egyptian myth, the platform is in sync with the Earth's vibration. The structure used these vibrations and then transmitted them through the alabaster, enabling the ancient Egyptians to become more spiritually aware and connected with the gods. So you could view it as a way to communicate with the gods, enabling us to travel from our world to their world. In Land of Osiris, Stephen Mailer notes that indigenous tradition teaches that the gods themselves, in some sort of physical form, once landed and appeared in person at Abu Ghurair. This could be why this site is revered for being one of the most sacred places in the world. Many ancient civilizations speak of portals to other worlds and gateways to star systems where their creators reside. As recently as 2015, NASA released a statement claiming that the idea of Earth portals, areas on the planet that instantly teleport human beings from one place to another, is a reality that they have been studying for quite some time. The myths of Cherokee also mention a similar legend about thought beings who traveled on the waves of sound between Earth and the star system. The Cherokee also believe that Native Americans originated long ago in the Pleiades, and that indigenous people are on Earth as star seeds, with a mission of bringing light and knowledge. Interestingly, the ancient Egyptian building texts from Edfu also tell of formless beings who came from the stars and created an island civilization in Egypt. Apart from the legends surrounding the site, it is evident that advanced knowledge and advanced technology were also in use here thousands of years ago. The platform has rather curious-looking perfect circular holes. Holes like this on a material alabaster must have been core drilled into the structure. Sahure's temple, despite its ruined state, reveals a high level of stoneworking technology. Some of the stones found here are colossal. The stone blocks, some weighing several tons, were precision cut from red granite, then polished and mounted in place. Whoever laid these blocks was extraordinarily accurate. The enormous blocks of granite also show core drill holes, with a precision that matches modern-day techniques. It is worth remembering that to drill granite today, hydraulically pressured diamond-tipped machines are used. The Egyptians did use hand-powered copper or bronze coring drills as a method of cutting rock, but it is highly doubtful they could achieve the pressure needed for the accuracy we see here. Another theory suggests that Egyptians used tubular drills with jeweled edges. However, no copper, bronze, or jeweled-edged tubular barrels, or wooden drill shafts for that matter, have ever been recorded in the archaeological record. Interestingly, similar drilling holes are found in the Americas, Asia, and other parts of the world. While we cannot begin to imagine how beautiful this complex must have been when it was completed thousands of years ago, it is evident that some sort of event must have occurred here after it was built. Some parts of this complex resemble Pumapunku in Bolivia, since there are blocks of limestone, alabaster, granite and rose granite scattered all over the place. This leaves researchers to wonder what could have happened here and at Pumapunku that could literally throw megalithic stones weighing up to hundreds of tons all around the place. Set apart from everything else are giant square alabaster dishes or basins with strange gear-like designs on top. These basins might remind you of Edward Leedskalnin's magnetic flywheel. There are so many similarities. One cannot help but wonder if they were an ancient version of Ed Leedskalnin's device. Interestingly, the inner surface of the basins is incredibly smooth to the touch and shows signs of circular tool marks, suggesting that whoever created them did so with a technology we would admire today. The purpose of these basins remains a mystery. Although it has been said they were used for offerings to the gods, no DNA has ever been found here. Recently, an integrated magnetic study was conducted at Abu Sir. There could be many more discoveries just below the surface, judging by results. This technique of measuring the vertical magnetic gradient is widely used in near-surface investigations. It is also used to reinforce the results of other shallow geophysical tools, including the magnetometer data in this study. 2 magnetic tools were applied over 25,600 square meters to trace and detect hidden archaeological features near the Temple of the Sun. The results show high values in the middle of the study area and a small extension of high values to the southwest. This pattern may indicate the presence of even more megalithic monuments. The magnetic susceptibility measurements revealed numerous archaeological features of different shapes and sizes, composed of mostly mud bricks. Still, these features may also represent tombs, burial rooms, and dissected walls, and all of them probably belong to the 5th dynasty of pharaohs. The depth of these archaeological features was estimated to be about 1.2 meters for deep parts and 0.42 meters for shallow features. The fact remains that this locality in northern Egypt, also known as the Land of the Forgotten Pyramids, is enriched with history. The legends associated with it tell us a lot about our ancestors and their otherworldly knowledge system. Like much of Egypt, the structures still pose many unanswered questions about the skills invested here thousands of years ago. When people discover strange or unusual things on our planet, they are discarded as meaningless, out-of-place artifacts. But often, there is much more to these relics of the past than meets the eye. From ancient Egypt to the mountains of Peru, so much evidence of advanced ancient technology has been found, but only to be dismissed later, often without thorough investigation. It is more than probable that if we start looking at these anomalies more seriously, we might begin to understand what ancient civilizations were actually capable of.
Joe Rogan's still holding pretty strong. We're now being told by the Faucis of the world, and all of them, that if you in any way resist efforts to mandate the masks or mandate the vaccine, you're a murderer, you're a threat to public health, you're politicizing everything. But Rogan's not hearing. Rogan is holding a show at Madison Square Garden. He sold a zillion tickets already. And now in New York, they're mandating the vaccine, just like they are in parts of Europe. And so Rogan faces this problem. Is he going to force his fans, many of whom have bought tickets already, to get the vaccine, or is he going to fight back? Here's Rogan's take.
If someone has an ideological or a physiological reason for not getting vaccinated, I don't want to force them to get vaccinated to see a stupid comedy show. And I've already sold 13,000 tickets, and now they say that everybody has to be vaccinated. And I want everybody to know that you can get your money back. I'm not an anti-vax person.
Right.
In fact, I said I believe they're safe, and I encourage many people to take them. My parents were vaccinated. I just said I don't think that if you're a young, healthy person that you need it. Their argument was you need it for other people.
So you don't transmit the virus.
That makes more sense.
So
But that's a different argument.
Yeah, and by the way, what Joe is leaving unsaid here, at least in this little clip, is, okay, so now their argument is you don't need it for yourself, because if you're vaccinated, you're totally fine, and you're not going to face serious consequences of the virus. And if you're unvaccinated, you're taking that risk. But if you're unvaccinated, you're risking infecting others. Except that we are now told by the studies, by the science, that the vaccinated and the unvaccinated are carrying similar viral loads. That they might not be as likely to face hospitalization or death, but they are as likely to carry and transmit the virus. We'll get to more on that in just a second, but first I need to invite you into my bed. Helix Sleep. Helix Sleep has a quiz. It takes 2 minutes to complete. It matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Why would you buy a mattress that were made for someone else? Does that make sense? You could get one that's made for you. That makes a lot more sense to me. With Helix, you're getting a mattress that you know will be perfect for the way that you sleep. They've got soft, medium, and firm mattresses. Mattresses great for cooling you down if you sleep hot. Even a Helix Plus mattress for plus-size sleepers. Helix is terrific. You don't need to take my word for it. Helix was awarded the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ and Wired magazine. You go to helixsleep.com/Knowles right now. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz. They will match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. It ships for free. It's got a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free, and then they'll pick it up if you want them to, but trust me, you're not going to need that. Helix is offering up to $200 off right now, all mattress orders, and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/Knowles. That is helixsleep.com/Knowles for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows. So then do you see the problem here for the people saying you need to get vaxxed for others? Whether you're vaxxed or unvaxxed, you may very well carry the virus and transmit it to others. The thing that's going to determine whether you go to whether anyone goes to the hospital or dies, according to the science, according to the experts, according to the politicians, is whether or not you have the vaccine. So it falls right back to this question of personal choice, personal prudential judgment. What risk am I going to take? As Joe Rogan correctly says, if you are a young person, you are at a very, very low risk of facing serious complications of the virus. If you're a morbidly obese 85-year-old, yeah, maybe you're at a higher risk, okay? Maybe you're going to have a different calculation. But if you're a young person, the arguments that the people who are mandating vaccines are making don't make any sense. They don't make any sense at all. And so Rogan, hats off to him. He's saying, if I don't feel comfortable mandating that my audience gets the vaccine, so you can have your money back. Now, Eric Clapton is going even further than that. Clapton's saying he will not play at venues because Eric Clapton had the vaccine, so he was open to it. It's not like he's totally anti-vax. He was open to it. He had a very negative reaction. We know the CDC and the FDA have told us that you can have negative reactions to this vaccine. There have been multiple reported incidents of them. And Clapton said, yeah, it really paralyzed my hands. I couldn't play for a while, so I'm not playing to houses that are mandating the vax. Rogan is taking a sort of middle ground here, and he's saying, look, I'll play, I guess, especially since we booked the show before the city mandated this. But there is no way I'm forcing my guys to get this vaccine. Absolutely right. We are living in a world right now where you can't trust the President of the United States. You can't trust the military leadership. They've all lost their freaking minds. You can't trust the public health experts because they've been wrong about a lot of stuff and in some cases have lied to you. You're living in a world where Joe Rogan is a much more credible person than most of our elected and appointed leaders.
Around the world, various countries are granting new COVID emergency powers. But when will these powers be repealed? And are we on the brink of creating a forever emergency where new powers are perpetuated in order to increase the power of already powerful institutions? The Scottish Government wants its emergency coronavirus powers to become permanent, including the ability to impose lockdowns and restrict gatherings so long as they believe it is necessary and proportionate. There are two words that are open to interpretation. This is necessary. Who says? I do. And it's proportionate. Who says? I do. The majority of the government's current powers introduced during the pandemic are due to elapse in March 2022, although they can be extended by 6 months. Why is that not enough? Why do you want to have that forever? Can you not see that that could be draconian, disadvantageous to the population? How often do you need to be reminded that the government are meant to work for you? It's like, it just seems like a weird abstract notion. You think of them as sort of kings and queens, don't you? You don't think, oi, you lot, sort the bins out, sort the bins out. You think, oh no, they're coming, they're spying on my phone, they're going to kill us. You know, that's not what it should feel like. One recent study found even as crime levels fell during the first lockdown, stop and search more than doubled. So crime is down, stop and search is up. Interesting. Police forces tried banning Easter eggs as a non-essential good. Oi, is that an essential Easter egg? Oh, I don't know, I mean, it's from my grandson. Pull that down! Holy shit, there's Maltesers inside! Stay back, Sergeant! Stay back! Police also started to inspect shopping trolleys. They're safer anyway, just watch them as they go by. Under the Coronavirus Act, they require more power to remove or detain any suspected infectious person. What? For a symptomless disease? That person's symptomless! Nick 'em! Yet, during the first lockdown, every single person that this measure was used against in England and Wales was wrongfully charged. Meanwhile, a new election bill infringes on the right to vote by introducing the requirement to show voter ID in a bid to tackle the near non-existent problem of voter fraud. Oh no! There's a problem so small we can hardly even see it. Oh shit, what are we going to do? Obviously, this legislation will disproportionately affect minority and working class Britons without photo ID. Oh well, there you go. This is an amazing article by Luke Kemp, Research Associate at the Centre for Study of Existential Risk at the University in Cambridge, talking more broadly about emergency legislation that's brought in around COVID and its misuse and potential ongoing misuse. He says, a total of 32 countries have used military or military ordinances to enforce rules, which has not been without casualties. To monitor rule breakers, 22 countries have used surveillance drones. Face recognition programs have been expanded. Internet censorship has occurred in 28 countries and internet shutdowns in 13. At least 120 contact tracing apps are in use across 71 states and 60 other digital contact tracing measures have been used across 38 countries. Do you get any idea of the scale and impact of these measures? If you introduce a piece of legislation or a regulatory measure under the idea that there's an emergency and we've got to deal with the emergency. Like, think about how you work as an individual. If someone scares you or fills you up with desire, an aspect of your biochemistry is activated that is usually dormant. When I'm frightened, I overreact. That's why road rages happen. Because in the back of your mind, you're aware, if I crash, I'm going to die, I'm going to kill these people I'm with or these people I don't know. So you are more easily triggered. What happened in the case of emergency legislation is your fear state is heightened, and during this heightened state of stress, new measures are introduced. Pavlov talked about this, he of the dribbling dogs, spoke about if you want to condition people, condition them under stress. Think about how military are trained. If you've been in the military, you will know that part of your training is to receive instruction under stress. Think of what's happening now on the international scale. People are frightened, terrified for their lives, the lives of their loved ones, mistrustful of other people, all these fissures and divisions in society, and into this comes apparent emergency legislation. And forgive me for saying, often brought about by governments that I don't have a great deal of trust or faith in. Legally, emergency powers vary by country. Many are enshrined under a constitution that gives specific powers to executives and require a time limit. Many, but not all, require the declaration of a state of emergency. According to data from the CoronaNet database, 124 countries declared a state of emergency during 2020 in response to COVID-19, with another several declaring emergencies in specific provinces or municipalities. Even prior to the pandemic, many countries existed in a perpetual state of emergency. The US does not have a separate regime for emergencies. Instead, presidents can activate national emergencies to gain access to a range of 136 statutory emergency powers. As of February 2020, there were 32 active national emergencies, the oldest of which dates back 39 years. If an emergency ain't happened within 39 years, I'm sensing there's an emergency on the horizon. Yeah, looks like that emergency is coming. Oh, damn body oatmeal. If something ain't happened in 39 years, that's not an emergency, is it? I wish it could hurry up. In 2001, the US Patriot Act allowed the US Congress itself to expand surveillance powers. Some scholars labelled this the legislative model. We all know that in 2001 the Patriot Act meant that there was much more surveillance. Still the fallout to this day is being discussed, whether it's WikiLeaks or Edward Snowden, but the impact of that piece of legislation, which follows the template emergency, necessary response, refusal to revoke those powers even though the emergency seems to have depleted, desisted. Perhaps more worrying is what can be called emergency responses, exceptional legislation that is not designated as an emergency power but is either passed during or in reaction to a threat. Many of the counter-terrorism acts passed in the UK during the last 2 decades were ordinary legislation but would make most emergency powers seem tame. Big tech is joined by a cabal of intelligence agencies across the world who have gathered more data and power over the past decade. There is surprisingly little evidence to support the effectiveness of mass surveillance in combating terrorists or viruses. For contact tracing apps, we don't know how effective they are, mainly due to a lack of data. Nonetheless, surveillance remains a go-to response when a disaster hits. So it doesn't help particularly with terrorism, it doesn't help particularly with viruses. How is it beneficial? The tendency for systems of power is to preserve and increase their own power where possible. So if something comes along, I almost don't blame them. The same way I was saying, like, that we as individuals, if we experience fear, are likely to respond less rationally because of their adrenaline and various other hormones that flood our consciousness. The biochemical reaction overwhelms us. Perhaps it's the same with the shared mind of a state institution. They are unable to think straight. They're unable to say, look, this doesn't help with terrorism, this doesn't help with viruses, let's not do it. Let's prioritise liberty and individual freedom, the kind of motifs and ideologies upon which our countries are built, over this knee-jerk response, which might look to the casual observer like a mad power grab and increasing our own ability to impose dominion over the domestic population. Are all the measures introduced during the coronavirus pandemic necessary? It appears not. A recent review of the effectiveness of COVID-19 response measures published in Nature Human Behaviour ranked police and army interventions, surveillance and the activation of emergency responses in the bottom 7 of 20 surveyed measures. They don't even work, and the people imposing them, the institutions, governments, states imposing them, know that they don't work. This should not be surprising. There's emerging evidence that emergency powers are usually used to benefit governments rather than save lives. One study of natural disasters and the use of constitutional emergency provisions found the more powers given to the executive, the higher the body count. Any of you that have read Naomi Klein's book, Shock Doctrine, or seen a documentary of the same name, will be familiar with this pattern of using emergency and in some cases even creating an emergency in order to create legislation and therefore more control is a common traditional tactic practiced in particular by the United States against their neighbours in the South, what was known as Latin America. Of course, I'm not suggesting that's what's happening in this instance, merely that it does seem to follow that paradigm. Many of the current COVID-19 measures are an acceleration of pre-existing trends. Reporters Without Borders noted countries with already heavy suppression of media freedom tended to use the coronavirus as an opportunity to intensify their censorial efforts. So it's not like everything was tickety-boom and wonderful and all of a sudden here come these measures. No, there's a trend anyway, and this increases or hastens that tendency. One study found that 87% of the global population is now living in countries which can be considered repressed, closed or obstructed. That's outrageous. That's global state totalitarianism that's been described, which most of us still think of as something to be afraid of, some harbinger, something of which we are being warned, rather than a state within which 87% of the population already reside. COVID-19 is not an outlier, but another push down a path many people are already being dragged down. That's extraordinary, isn't it, to sort of put COVID-19 and its apparently unique and anomalous information into a different rubric and context, i.e. one that is happening anyway, that it looks advantageous. Look, whatever you think about the origins of the virus, the legislation around it, it seems that it's advantageous to the powerful. One thing I always think is, if the situation is beneficial to the most powerful interests in the world, how are you ever going to prevent that from happening? How are you ever going to repeal it? Because it's just beneficial. The greatest danger is that these become a state of exception in which a government transcends the rule of law. The entire Third Reich occurred during a state of emergency that lasted 12 years. It began in 1933 after Hitler invoked Article 48 of the Weimar Republic, allowing for the emergency decrees without parliamentary approval. Luckily, that state of emergency never led to Hitler. That guy was terrible. Emergency powers tend to go one way, top down. During an emergency, the knee-jerk reaction is always to reinforce those atop hierarchies in the state and significantly curtail the freedoms, voice and agency of citizens, often in a draconian fashion. Politicians continue to play to fears that during times of disaster, people will descend into a chaotic mess. Yet the overwhelming scientific and historical evidence contradicts this pessimistic view of humanity. Scholars in disaster risk management have now debunked the idea of mass citizen panic as a myth that rarely occurs. As Rebecca Solnit in A Paradise Built in Hell and Rutger Bregman in Humankind have documented, communities tend to display altruism and self-organisation in times of catastrophe. It's necessary for us to believe that what the government protects us from are each other and mad impulses and instincts within ourselves. We have granted them sovereignty over us because we can't be trusted, the other can't be trusted. We live in a fearful, dangerous world. When the evidence suggests the contrary is true, think of your own life. If you see someone suffering or struggling, what do you think? Oh, brilliant, I'll nick their wallet or I'll take this opportunity to kill them. Or do you think, oh, I better help this person? When we're generally around one another, our tendency is to help one another, to cooperate, to coordinate. None of us is perfect. We can be competitive, and many of us, certainly myself, are flawed individuals, capable of making errors and mistakes. But what we are building and what we're racing towards with terrifying pace is a situation where ordinary people have no power, where the possibility to act on our higher nature is being separated from us, denied us, where we are living under a state of totalitarianism, which is the living embodiment and the legal realisation of the worst aspects of our nature. Fear, dread, terror, competition, repression, oppression. This has never played out well historically, and there's no reason to believe that it will play out well now. This tendency towards kindness and community, the writer of notes, can be seen from the very beginning of COVID-19, from hackathons to create low-cost PPE, to community-organised efforts to protect the vulnerable. Instead, it is the government and military overreach that tends to worsen disasters. My intuition and my experience tells me that centralised power is beneficial to the people that are at the very centre of those structures and systems of power. Generally speaking, shared power, localised power, community power, individual liberty are beneficial to the individual and community. Just think about it for a moment. Where do you want power and authority? Over there, centralised, where all it can ever do is crush you in under the pretense and guise of protecting you, or for the individual, for the community, where you can meaningfully use power, whether we're talking about resources, the ability to make legislation, the ability to decide which freedoms to prioritise, which rules and values to promote. the further from you the ability to make decisions moves, the worse the kind of culture you're living in will become. It seems unavoidable to conclude from the brilliant writing that we've looked at today that coronavirus 19 and the legislation around it is being used to further entrench and centralise power and to usher in legislation and systems of governance that are not beneficial to ordinary people and not even beneficial to solving the very problem they're being introduced to address. Thank you for watching this. If you've got any comments, please comment below, give us a thumbs up, a like, share it around, communicate with people. Please sign up to my mailing list, russellbrand.com, in case I can't communicate directly to you for some reason in the future. If you want to hear me have longer conversations, go over to Apple and sign up to Luminary, the podcast network, where my under-the-skin conversations with brilliant thinkers are available, one per week, along with a meditation above the noise. If you don't want to pay for stuff, have a look at this video where I talk about a similar subject, or if you want to learn meditation, go over to my side channel, Awakening. Subscribe there. You need to do both. You need to be aware, educated, and awakened. Thank you.
Advil Dual Action fights pain 2 ways. It's the first and only FDA-approved combination of Advil plus acetaminophen. Advil targets pain. Acetaminophen blocks it. Advil Dual Action. Fast pain relief that lasts 8 hours.
Rev up your engine!
Well, if you've seen that picture like I have, you see that there's thousands of Ford Broncos are parked at a Michigan plant just sitting there. Now, Ford says they're awaiting quality checks before they're shipped. It's probably worse than that. Although, with the problems they're having already with the roofs and stuff, that's probably just the tip of the iceberg. And now they're worried, oh man, we ship all these out, they're junkers. It just goes to show they pushed it too fast. They didn't get it right. And of course, the chip shortage probably has something to do with it. They're not going to tell us what it is. There's just thousands of them sitting in a parking lot. And your guess is as good as mine of why they're sitting there when they've got people waiting for them. So if you ordered a Ford Bronco and you're waiting on it, might be sitting in a parking lot in Michigan awaiting God knows what before it's going to ship it to you. And they just hope that they do get their quality check done right and it doesn't have problems. I don't know. I've seen they cut an awful lot of corners on those things from what I've read about it. The shafts, the drive shafts, are too small because they want to make them as cheap as possible. I can see those things snapping off. They got those stupid 3-cylinder engines in them that are turbocharged. I can see those having problems too. So after a few years, when they actually get them rolling on the roads and they're tried out, but I don't know, the future looks kind of bleak to me, if you ask me. Grimmothy Greg says, hey, my daughter bought a 2010 Volkswagen CC Sport DSG. It hesitates from a stop. Apparently it's because of DSG. They say that, oh, they just hesitate from a stop. I don't understand this delay. They say it's normal. Is it normal? No, of course it's not normal. Do I tell people, don't buy Volkswagens. Those DSG transmission systems, they're just crap as they age, and that's what happens with Volkswagens. I've had customers with those in the past. When they had to have them rebuilt, I don't rebuild them. It's too much for me. The guys that rebuild them all the time, CBS station where I used to do a show, he had to pay $6,500 to have his daughter's Volkswagen transmission rebuilt at the dealer. That shows you how expensive they are. And of course, they're not supposed to hesitate like that. When those things are new, they actually do ship quite well. That's the whole thing. It's high performance, and they ship like a dream. They go from gear to gear to gear. And if yours is hesitating, no, that's just because it's starting to wear out. You bought it with 137,000 miles. I'm amazed it's still working. It's only going to get worse as time goes on. She bought the wrong car, unfortunately. It's a 12-year-old Volkswagen with 137,000 miles. You're probably going to end up living with it because it'll cost you a fortune to rebuild that transmission. And as long as it goes, what the heck? But it is not supposed to do that. That's BS. Go road test a new one. They don't do it if they're made by. CBS 96 says my car alarm went off out of nowhere. Got a 98 4Runner. I took the negative terminal and it didn't do it. How can I avoid this? All right. You want to pray it's the simplest thing on earth. And that means your battery's weak. Go to any auto parts store, get it tested. If it's weak, replace the battery. If the battery gets below a certain parameter of voltage, that loss of voltage will actually make the stupid alarm go off. And that's what it is 99% of the time on Toyotas. If it isn't, either your alarm system's breaking down or you have an electrical short in the car. And if the electrical short is shorting the battery out, then once it gets shorted out, the alarm thinks, somebody opened the door, and it makes the alarm go off. But on Toyotas, 99% of the time, it's just the battery is weak and you need to replace the battery. Pray it's just that, because the alarm costs a fortune to fix it. If you get an electrical short that's doing it, good luck finding where it is, because there's miles of wiring in that car that can cause a problem like that. But like I say, in Toyotas, unless they've been wrecked or flooded, generally it's just a bad battery and the electronics don't go bad.
If you're considering the Ford F-150, consider this. Ram 1500 offers tech features like head-up display and digital rearview mirror.
All that off on those cars. So have the battery checked first. We are all broke, says. My car's fishtailing at high speeds. I was going 90 to 95 and it's fishtailing. Well, when you're not supposed to drive that fast. But the reason they fishtail is because the back is starting to lose control. First, check the tires. It's going to be as simple as your tires are wearing out. But if it's not that, odds are your rear shocks or struts, whatever system your car has, are starting to go, and then instead of balancing it right, they're bouncing, and then they'll start fishtailing back and forth. Generally, tires do it first if they're worn out, but if the tires are perfectly fine and good, it means that your shock absorbing system is bad, and so it's starting to go around. Now, I mean, if it's really bad, jack it up. You might find that control arms or bushings are worn, and when you pull on the wheels, they clunk, but normally it's not that bad. It's usually either the tires or the shocks or struts are worn out in the bed. And you start by checking those things out first. Most of the time, that's the shock starting to go out if it's fishtailing, especially when you're cornering and the car's got a level.
Nah, I just like listening to Scotty.
I
don't know. I'm not a car guy, but I don't know. I like cars a little bit more since I got the Lexus. So I just like listening to Scotty. He put out a new video about the Ford Bronco, saying them shit's already fucking up and people getting complaints about different parts on that shit. All right. Yeah. Yo, 72, he definitely is. Yo, Scotty Kilmer, this motherfucker is the guy, yo. And when I went to go trade my old car in, I was driving a 1998 Chevy Monte Carlo. Motherfucking beefy ass fucking car. That bitch only had I don't even think that shit had 100,000 miles on it. I think I was only at like fucking 89 or 91,000 miles on a fucking 1998 Monte Carlo. But you know what I'm saying? They had like a lot of tech in there, and the fucking the AC went out in it. So I just was like, had a couple extra dollars. I was like, shit, I'm gonna just fucking trade this shit in and upgrade my car. But I was like, let me see what is actually out there though. Started looking at different cars, talking to different people, because I ain't no car guy, yo. I came across Scotty. Started listening to Scotty for like weeks. This motherfucker swear down by Toyota and Lexus, yo. This motherfucker swear to fucking God them the best cars, bro. This motherfucker, hey, he convinced me Toyota and Lexus is the fucking shit. Yo, went out and got the Lexus. I fucking love that shit, yo. Hey, babe, what up? So, yeah, the Lexus is so nice, yo. And it's a luxury fucking car. And I posted something on Facebook like last week or the week before, like which major car companies actually made a separate luxury brand. I could have told you that, bro. Like Toyota made Lexus, Honda made Acura, Nissan made Infiniti, and Hyundai made Genesis. And I was just asking the question, are there any other car companies that have like, you know, their flagship brand and then they created a luxury brand? And everybody was like, oh, Ford owns Lincoln and this and that. I'm like, that's not the same thing if like one car company acquires a different name or a different brand and starts producing parts for those vehicles. I'm talking about a company that completely created their own luxury line. And I think Honda was the first to do that with the Acura series. And then Toyota followed suit. I'm fucking hooked. And ever since Scotty hit me to the game on fucking Toyotas and Lexus, I just like listening to Scotty now. I'm not in the market to buy no new car no time soon or nothing like that, but and once again, I'm not a really, really big car guy, but Scotty just made talking about cars seem cool as shit, just the way he talk about that shit, yo. Motherfucker just won't. Yeah, that's what I said. Hyundai made the Genesis, and for a while it was the Hyundai Genesis, and they were like little Kias or whatever. And then like a couple years ago, they started stepping the Genesis, the style, the technology, all that shit. Like that shit stepped up, and it was like, okay, this is a completely separate thing now. This is Hyundai, and this is Genesis. And like a new Genesis, like some of their new shits, man, them shits like $50,000-$60,000 fucking dollars off the lot, bro. Like, but them shits is nice. Them shits, the Genesis is nice, yo. And I think those are the only ones that did it. It was Toyota, Honda, Nissan, and Hyundai. And that's the thing about Nissan, because Nissan was Datsun. So they already switched one time before. It was Datsun, then it changed to Nissan, and then Nissan created Infiniti. Yo. And he talks about he's not a real big fan of the electric car either, and how everybody's like, oh, this is just gonna revolutionize the world in the next 10 years. He's like, Scotty's like, you gotta be realistic, man. It's gonna be fucking 40 or 50 years before even half the cars on the road are goddamn fully electric cars. I still want a Tesla Cybertruck, but I get what he's saying too, yo. Mazda doesn't have a luxury brand. I thought about Mercedes-Benz, because they came out with the Maybach or Maybach or whatever, however you say that shit. But that's still underneath the Mercedes flagship name, though. It's not like the Maybach is a separate entity that has different models in its fleet. Like every other, like Lexus has all the models in every fucking category, from hatchback to coupe to sedan to small, mid, and full-size SUVs. But like the Maybach, it doesn't have like different, I guess you can get different engine sizes and all that shit, but it still ain't like a whole fucking expansion upon itself like every other car company. But I'm realizing Mazda's not a bad car company either. And this is the thing too, like in the past fucking 40 years, like 30, 40, almost in my lifetime, yo, like 30, 40 years, like the Asians have taken over the car industry. Like nobody wants an American car no more. My girl got a Dodge Charger. She had the choice between a Charger and a fucking I told her you should have got the Acura, yo. But she got the Charger. And it's a nice car. It's a nice car, but it's big, it's a gas guzzler, and it's just like, I don't know. And it's weird because it got the fucking battery in the back, and it's just like, I got a Benz because I don't really know what other kind of cars to get. I know a Benz is a luxury car, and it shows a level of achievement and financial status. Yeah, but there's a lot better cars than that, bro. Like, there's a lot better cars than that, bro. Cause I'm shooting for the fucking the GX 470 Lexus G-Wagon, nigga. That's my ultimate dream. Let me get the big boy full-size Lexus SUV, nigga. Oh, the Dodge Dart. Little sporty car. Right. Like I say, man, American cars are just not the same, yo. And a lot of car companies, like I said, they're buying up other makers, and the quality is going down. Even in like the quality in Jaguar, the quality in Lincoln. Ford really doesn't fuck with cars like that heavy anymore. Ford focuses on their trucks. Dodge is really trying to focus on their trucks a lot more. I mean, what the hell you got? Who else is out there? I mean, Chrysler is not a thing anymore. GMC, they just make engines for most of the motherfuckers. It's weird with American cars, yeah. Cause they know where the motherfucking go-getters at, yo. The Yukon Denali's, all them shits, man. Them shits tough. But once again, man, like, I don't know. If I had a chance to get a Yukon Denali or a motherfucking Lexus G-Wagon, I'm getting G-Wagon, nigga. I'm just telling you now. If it was an option between a Navigator, Excursion or Suburban, man, let me get the G-Wagon, yo. The X5 or X6 or motherfucking whatever, yo. What's the Mercedes SUV? I don't know. One of my clients, yo, he says this piece represents his educational career. So one character is his high school career. 3 characters are different universities he went to. Purdue University, Prager, and some school in Florida. The law school of Florida or some shit like that. And then the last image is supposed to represent him in his current career as a police officer. And so, yeah, he just chose all these 90s cartoon characters, and he wanted the backgrounds specifically like I'm doing it. He wants He just has a lot of notes and details on how he wants this to turn out, and it's pretty cool because the GLA, yeah, and it's pretty cool because I don't normally do Nickelodeon cartoony type art, and so it's something different for me. And on top of that, it's a paid commission, so I'm getting paid to try something new. That's the fucking bomb part. That's bomb and shit for me. Like, you know what? I wonder what it would be like to paint some cartoons. Nah, I ain't got time for that shit. Oh, you gonna pay me to paint some cartoons? Oh, I got time for that shit. Then let me see. See how that shit turn out. You know what I'm saying? This is a win-win. Yes, sir. I need my shit to be Cowboy Bebop themed. So I had somebody do like some letters of my name, and they're like cardboard letters, but it's like plastered in whatever kind of imagery or pictures you want. And so I went with the Ghost in the Shell theme, and it was really a hard toss up between should I do a Ghost in the Shell theme or a Cowboy Bebop theme. Ghost in the Shell, Cowboy Bebop. Major Kusanagi, Spike Spiegel. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I just went with Ghost in the Shell. But I can imagine my life being drawn in like Cowboy Bebop style. Me and Ein and Jet Black, Faye Valentine, just cruising. You know what I'm saying? Cruising. It really is though. Of course, you know why I had to go with Ghost in the Shell theme because I just love Ghost in the Shell so much, man. But I might have to put some Cowboy Bebop imagery in some of my art. You know, definitely have to do that. But I've had this VHS since like 1997, 98. This exact same one. I actually want to get me a VCR and just so I can watch this shit one more time. Because I never upgraded it to the DVD version. But hey, as long as I got this.
It's hot as shit.
Huh?
It's hot.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
What's up?
Girl, you can get poisoning from paint. First of all, I'm the one that just got here, so why you all up on him? You're so fake.
You gotta go outside? That's what, you let her out?
No? Did you let her out when you got home?
No, I let her. I attempted to, and she didn't want to go up. So now she gotta go. You gotta go now, huh? I guess I'll go let her out real quick then.
Oh my god, it's so damn hot today. I can't stand heat. Excuse me. Hello? Hello?
in there or not? Oh my god, it's so alright. What I'm gonna do is try to draw some clouds up in here. I already got a reference picture of what I want them to look like. Alright. Damn, bro. That blue sky's still kind of wet. But I still might be able to work with it though. Let's see real quick.
Okay, 3, 2, 1,
If y'all ain't never watched that show, I feel so
John Mackey.
bad for you. If you've never seen that, man, cause damn, bro. Cowboy Bebop is so fucking lit. You got that red eye? Is this the real red eye? Major Akaki. Ooh. Yo, the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack is so lit. It's some of the best jazz I've ever heard. Is that okay?
Yeah, I told you I was trying to get a COVID test, and then he was like, well, what questions do you have? You should get the vaccine. I can tell you why. I gave it to my pregnant wife. I'm like, sir, I'll sleep on it tonight and think about it. Not getting that.
I forgot to text what you call it today too. Helen Lavelle to tell her I'm not going to that thing. It's not too late. I should just text her now.
What up, Charlotte? talked to my grandma for a minute today, and she was out of it. Like, normally she want to stay on the phone. She got off the phone so she could go to sleep. So I was like, yeah, she don't feel good. Because you see how her and my mom talk my ear off. We sit on the phone for 2 hours and still be talking. Oh, shit. Oh, Helen is the blonde lady we met?
Mm-hmm.
What do you just want salad or you want something on it?
Yeah, just salad. Fruits. Fruits.
I'm probably gonna make a smoothie.
In America, everyone has a right to buy medicine, young or old. But Democrats want to change that with a new plan that will lead to fewer choices for new medicines. Tell Washington, don't tax our health care.
Does it bother you that there's no prominent African Americans in the White House itself? Do you
Sure
think
there
that's
is.
important?
Jerron, Dr. Ben Carson's part of the executive branch. That's not true. You know that's not
Well,
true.
within the White House
Jerron
itself.
is an executive with
What
Jared
is
Kushner.
his role?
He's a DAP, which is a Deputy Assistant to the President of the United States.
So yeah, and one thing that we always speak when we speak to conservatives about is we have to stop believing in this illusion that because somebody is black, they represent my interests.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that lesson via Barack Obama. I mean, he was in the White House for 8 years and didn't do much for the black community. So I'm not interested in the color of people's skin.
So
I'm interested in what they do and what they
so
accomplish.
I'm really interested in your perspective. Yeah. So to you having, like, you don't look at, you know, it is an administration that has more white men than past administrations have had.
Yeah,
but that doesn't bother you. You don't think that diversity is
No,
important?
not at all. I think that we have to stop believing that diversity is the color of people's skin, because if you have, like, the Black Caucus, for example, which didn't stand up and applaud when Trump announced that we had the lowest ever unemployment in the black community, that's concerning to me. So a big part of the conversation that we open is in making people understand that that's an illusion that the left has sold, that somehow because somebody matches my skin color, because somebody matches my gender, they have my best interest at heart, and that is completely fallacious.
But you later added, it isn't conservatives that are chasing people down in offices and restaurants. It isn't conservatives that have weaponized sexual assault as a means to political gain. I stand by my opinion that when it comes to political violence, the left is the likely culprit.
That's correct. So we've seen that.
So you think that it was the left or Democrats who sent
Well, I
these
think,
bombs?
look, I think we're all entitled to have an opinion. We don't have any facts surrounding this, and Twitter is a venue where you're allowed to express your opinions and beliefs, and
But just to be
certainly...
clear, so that's not based on any facts that's
Of
just
course,
your
it couldn't possibly be based on facts. We don't have any evidence other than the fact that they're investigating it. But I said I'm going to go out and say that there is a 0% chance that this was sent by conservatives. I find all the things that are going on, the caravan of illegals, the packages that are being sent,
And you
Brett
think
Kavanaugh's confirmation.
you think the caravan too is
I
organized
find
by
it to be
Democrats?
incredibly suspicious timing, so that they are meant to get to the border on the day of the election. Again, this is not rooted in facts, but you do have to understand I am very much entitled to my opinion, and Twitter is my platform.
There was another tweet that said the Democratic Party is comprised of racist white liberals.
That is correct.
Am I a racist white liberal?
Well, let's go back. And let's say, I will say this, that many people in the party are not aware of own racism. Let's go back to an early part of this conversation where you said to me, are you concerned about the color in the White House? Why would you ask me that question?
Because you speak about black issues.
No, but why would you ask me? Well, let's get to really the nucleus of this. Why did you ask me that question today?
Because
why did you feel that I needed to be concerned about that?
Because you're bringing a whole group of young African American leaders to the White House.
Okay, so this is something that I talk about often, is that in many ways white liberals don't realize that you put on that the racism and the conversations that we have.
You're saying I'm a racist.
You haven't let me finish my statement. You keep cutting me off.
Go ahead.
Okay. The emphasis that you place is always on having a discussion about race. Okay. You guys are insistent on having a conversation about race and telling us that we should see and implying that we should see race everywhere, and I don't agree with that. If you don't look at me according to the color of my skin, you would simply ask me how I thought that Trump was doing as a president. But instead, you try to drum up a conversation that's surrounded by race by asking me, are there enough black people in the White House?
You're bringing a whole group of young black leaders to the White House.
Color, I don't.
That's something that's important to you.
Well, why are you talking about?
Then why make it that you're going to bring young black leaders to the White House? I mean, this is sort of absurd.
As the media, as the whole.
This is absurd. You're bringing this group to the White House.
It's not absurd. I'm making perfect sense.
I just want to be clear.
Bringing the black conservatives to the White House.
You view me as a racist white
I think
liberal.
that you're not. Oh, first off, you put those words in my mouth, and you keep saying it. So I'm not. I said that the Democrat Party is comprised of racist white liberals. Is every person in the party racist? No, but you're not aware of the fact that you put these racist tones out into the media. This is why we have to bring the black conservatives to the president, because you create a narrative when you're on TV like you did today. So you're just trying to create an undertone that Donald Trump is racist, and it's wrong.
No.
TV, so you can run racist. Okay, so I did not call you racist. You're using the typical leftist tactic of trying to make yourself a victim, which is not what I
Hold on. I do want to say,
she's making herself a victim and pretending that I came here and called her racist. So this is a typical leftist tactic.
That we not demonize our opponent.
And I think it's important that you not demonize my president.
And one thing that I try very hard to do is to criticize the policies and criticize people who are in positions of power.
I'm not sure how you were doing that by pointing out the color in the administration.
But not to criticize the people who support the president.
You literally
That's something I try very hard to do.
But you're not doing a very good job of it.
And I think it's really important.
I think it's really important that you be aware that just because I'm a black woman, you don't need to ask me a question as basic enough as saying how much color is in the administration.
To demonize our fellow
I think what's problematic is that you are creating a simulation that is dishonest, that is accusing our president of being racist based off of the color of the people that are in the. That's exactly what you asked me a question. That's what you implied.
Okay, I actually really appreciate you two coming in very much, and I look forward to getting to ask you some questions on Violet at some point later on.
Is Candace Owens shocked? We're about to find out. She's the host of Candace. We're very happy to have her on tonight. Candace Owens, I don't want you to be hysterical about this crime thing, okay?
I've seen how cancer can affect the people I care about. That's why I'm helping protect myself against some cancers, like certain cancers caused by HPV. For most people, HPV clears on its own, but for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain
Cool. Go ahead, because I was going down the path, but apparently I don't know what I'm talking about. So you got it. Tell us what
if this is your platform, I'm just
I'm already trying it my way, but apparently you got something else. So go ahead.
No, I think I want to talk about what you want to talk about. People don't want to watch this to hear what I want to talk about. They want to hear what you want to talk about. So I want to listen to that.
When's the last time you had a relationship?
Like 5 months ago.
How long did that last?
It's 3 years.
And who ended it?
I ended it.
Why?
I ended it because it was just becoming toxic. think when I started the relationship, I wasn't ready probably. I don't think either of us were really ready, so it just kind of spiraled. So before we hated each other, we just decided to just get out.
What does toxic mean? Toxic is a buzzword that women throw around like men throw around entrepreneurs.
Toxic in the sense that it was just this cycle of hurting each other that we couldn't seem to stop. It was not healthy for either of us.
Okay. So what do you want? Do you want to be married one day?
Eventually, yeah.
It's easy for an archaeologist to impress a member of the public with a discovery, but how would they go about the task of trying to impress another archaeologist? Well, they'd have to find something that their fellow archaeologists had never seen before, something that made even the most experienced experts sit up and take notice. In short, they'd have to find something like the amazing discoveries we're about to show you. Our collection of stories begins in Royston Cave, Hertfordshire, England. According to local legends, this was once a top-secret hangout for the Knights Templar. There's no way of proving that the secretive organization was ever here, but it clearly had some religious significance to somebody. The cave was found in 1742 by construction workers digging out fence posts. It's been investigated several times since then by archaeologists, all of whom agree that it was first dug out during the 13th century. What they're less sure of is who made the enigmatic paintings on the walls. There are symbols known to be associated with the Knights Templar here, but there are also a few symbols associated with paganism. There's no way the Knights Templar would have tolerated the presence of such symbols in their secret hideaway, because they were religious Puritans. Perhaps it's more likely that the cave has been used by two different religious groups at two different points in history. Frustratingly for historians, it's unlikely that we'll ever know for sure. Someone went to a great deal of trouble to seal it up once they were done with it, though.
Here's what you need to know about Chromebooks. Chromebooks are
This next artifact was in such a delicate state when it was discovered in April 1994 that it wasn't possible to safely remove it and take it away for safekeeping until 2017. Safekeeping is the perfect word to use here because the object is a safe. It might not look much like a safe because it's made of wood rather than metal, but it had alternative ways of keeping its contents out of the hands of thieves. It's booby-trapped and packed full of iron spikes that would go straight through the hands of anyone who tried to open it the wrong way. The safe is a product of the ancient Roman Empire and would have been referred to by its Roman owners as an arca ferrata. It wasn't found in Rome, though. Instead, it was found in the ruins of the Roman villa of Casa del Mitrio in Spain. Including this one, there are only 4 known genuine arca ferratas in existence. This one survived the passing of the centuries because the villa burned down around it, covering it in a protective layer of ash. Indian archaeologists working at the site of Raigad Fort had a very exciting discovery to report in March 2021. It's a 300-year-old gold bangle, which, if the experts are right about the provenance and history of the object, once belonged to the legendary Maratha warrior Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Back in 1674, he made this fort his capital after seizing it from Chandraroji Moor, the former king of Jali. He then spent more than a decade renovating and strengthening the fort to guard it against future attacks. Sadly for him, his efforts were unsuccessful. The fort was captured by the Mughals in 1689 and then taken again by the British East India Company in 1818. Lots of people lived in the 18 villages that surround the fort, so it will be difficult to conclusively prove that the bangle belonged to the famous ruler. But it's very much of the style he wore for official portraits. That hasn't stopped Sri Shambhajiraje Chhatrapati, one of his living descendants, from attending the archaeological dig site to inspect the artifact in person. It will probably go on to be exhibited at an Indian museum. The Marmari project has been ongoing in and around Istanbul, Turkey since 2004. During that time, more than 40,000 artifacts have been collected by the experts working on the project, shedding plenty of new light on the history of the region in the process. The most remarkable discovery made thus far is the entire 4th century port of Theodosius, which was once of huge strategic importance to the Byzantine Empire. The ruins of churches and water wells have also been identified and excavated, along with case after case of ceramics and pottery. The ultimate goal of the Marmari project is to construct a new underground railway that will connect Asia and Europe. But everything in the ground will be found and recorded first. Nobody really knows how much more there is to find here, but large-scale discoveries are still made regularly. Among the most recent is a cluster of 36 sunken merchant ships, still with their sails attached. The ships are thought to have gone down between the 5th and 11th centuries. Everything that's found here is sent to the Istanbul Archaeology Museum, although the facility can't possibly have enough room to store everything at once, let alone display it. Salt is one of the most basic and plentiful minerals in the world, but all the salt you use in your cooking has to come from somewhere. 6,000 years ago, it came from a...
Yeah, I don't know what your boy Yeezy on, man. He gave you a gospel album, nigga. Donda, 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 Donda. Oh, man. I was like, yo, Yeezy done dropped that new shit? Let me get that. Let me listen to this track. Oh no. What the fuck is this? I'm good. I'm good on that one. But that's it though. Like Yeezy, he done touch every audience. Now he's trying to find a new audience. He like, fuck that. I'm about to get all this Christian money. Everybody in the church, let's pay these tithes and offerings to Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Pay these tithes and offerings to Jesus. Motherfucker about to do a mace. About to go like Kirk Franklin. He's about to do like Menace from the Clips. But he been had a church, so he done started a church and you know what I'm saying, just I don't know, man. Yeezy a weird ass dude though.
Where we begin does not define who we will become. Before you, I see a path.
So you were telling me that this is your first summer not in Greece?
Yeah, I am a Greek archaeologist, so I spend most of my summers in Greece and Turkey, Italy, and my main excavation is the Athenian Agora. So I have been every year, every summer, let me try to do the math, 25 years I've been in Greece every single summer. And so this is totally weird to be in Cincinnati. And because Cincinnati is not normal, so it's not like I get to finally enjoy all that Cincinnati offers in the summer. That's where we're still at home. So I work, the excavation I work at is the Athenian Agora, the marketplace of ancient Athens. So this is, which is right below the Acropolis. And I miss it. That's what I miss about being home this summer. So
Well, we can at least visit virtually.
yes. Oh, I see. We're walking up. We're going up to the Acropolis. That's what we're doing. I see it in the background. Yeah. Oh, look, there's a little shop, a little stall there with things on the other side. And this idea of going up is really important to the experience of going to the Acropolis, because you're literally leaving the city behind and going into this sacred space. So I like the fact that they've emphasized the incline here, the access that goes upward. Myron's bull, that's for real. That comes from Pausanias. Doesn't exist, doesn't survive, of course, but we have literary descriptions of it, which is cool. That's great. Yeah. And here we have some little, you want some snacks there to the side. It's incredible. The detail here it's unbelievable, the level of, oh my gosh, and look, there's a painting on the exterior.
Yeah, I'm excited by it, so I'm gonna climb on it here.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know any evidence for exterior painting like that.
Oh, really?
Interesting, yeah. I do know in other places they have interior paintings in the game, but amazing. And even the dresses, those are great. They're peploi, they're called a peplos. Peploi in the plural. Very nice, very, very appropriate. Do you know what date this is supposed to be?
It's supposed to take place during the Peloponnesian War.
Okay, all right. So about 425 BC is the date. And the painting on the sculptures, that's really great too. I mean, we have traces of these, and there's a branch of study which tries to recover the colors, which is really cool, and it looks like they've taken that into consideration, which is great, instead of having them all be white, you know. Even the trees are right. That's the right kind of tree. I am amazed by this. I can't believe the detail. I'm going to keep saying that. It's crazy. I mean, somebody really did a lot of research on this. Okay, so now we're going, so here we are, we're going up to the entrance of the Acropolis. And in 425, the entrance would have been a single solid ramp. So this switchback is not right. The switchback comes in the Roman period. So now we're going up to the gateway. This is the Propylaea, and it's plural. It means gates, because you can see we have a front entrance and a back entrance, and both could be closed. So we're going through, and there you see peeking out is the Athena Promachus. There's a giant statue of Athena who was so tall and so shiny that sailors coming into port could see the sun glinting off of her helmet. You knew you were home when you saw the glint of Athena.
So what would she have been made of?
She's made out of bronze.
Wow.
And Athena Promachus, she was put up after the Persian Wars as a thank offering to Athena. Promachus means sort of strategy before the war, pro-Machus, before the war. So she gave them the ability to be successful in the Persian War. And now that's the west side of the Parthenon. Oh my gosh, look at you. Wow. That is interesting. Okay, so
Yo, yo. Shit, chillin', bro. What's up, man? Nah, everybody was still trying to figure that out. But we just assume that they're just strange out because she got kids and shit, man. Nah. When you was looking at it? Yeah, Kevin Samuels, nigga, Kevin Samuels. They gotta be grown, not with. I'm chilling, bro. I'm in the studio painting right now. Same old, yeah. Yep, same old shit, man. Same old shit. You posted them pictures online, man. Everybody swear they had a great time over there, man. That shit was good as shit. Wow, so you can't rap, man? Oh my god. Yeah, I had to I had to kick the motherfuckers out, man. Hey, it's time to wrap this shit up, man. It was like 11:30, motherfuckers still chilling. Yeah, well, that's how good a time it was. Nobody ain't really wanted to leave it. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, the vibe been right. Like I said, motherfuckers, nobody really wanted to leave. They start the people who left early because they had to leave, and then everybody else was just chilling. I was like, all right, guys, let's wrap this shit up. uh, yeah, she I was supposed to do some art shit with her. I just met her like a couple weeks ago. She hit me up, like I guess she was gonna do some art thing, like a paint and sip in Scranton, and she wanted some artists to help her out. And then she linked up with this one dude, and he was like, "Yo, if you're gonna do something like this, you need to talk to Travis." And then somehow she got my number, and she called me, and she was like, "Oh, I want to meet, see what you into, see if you can help me out with my little project I'm doing." And so we met like that. And then her thing was supposed to be on this past Saturday, but it got canceled and shit. Yeah, but she's super young. She's young like my chick, young. Yeah, that's the only thing. But like, yeah. She got some good ass energy. Definitely. Yeah, she ain't but like 24. She from New York. She ain't from around here. Mm-hmm. No. She stayed right on Penn Ave somewhere. Yeah. See, where you getting to? Mm-hmm. Alright, got me a little doobie roll up. I'm about to paint for a little bit more, then take my ass downstairs, smoke, play some video games. Nah, she on. I think she down there getting some food ready. What do you mean? Yeah. I might put some little thought into it. I gotta, yeah. I gotta step away from the normal shit I be doing. Different shit. Gotta be yourself. Tell that much to shut up. Yeah, I was surprised my dog acted so well when everybody was over. That was like one of my main. I only had two big concerns really, like parking. Where is everybody gonna park? But no, I ain't even had to worry about that because everybody found parking. But then I was worried about the damn dog, how that bitch was gonna act around so many strangers and shit. The whole time, yo. The whole time. Shit, she gotta ask the treats out there, everybody else too. I praised the shit out of her. And we doing wings this week. All right. Yeah. One day. I don't know, man. Cause I'm on camera right now, so I'll tell you about that shit later. But yeah. I hit you later on. All right, peace, bro.